Hello, welcome to Ordinary People. Believe it or not, this is the 10th episode of this season. Hard to believe. And so it's only right that we bring on a couple of Rich Hill legends onto the show. But won't be the same without Andrew. Say
Oh,
hello, Andrew.
I'm here. I'm here. You can't see me, but I'm here.
And Neil is going to introduce her guest. Neil, do you want to go ahead with that, please?
Good stuff. Thanks, Paul, and good to be back on with you and Andrew. Number 10. I didn't realise we were at number 10. A good round number, and I've been looking for. This is one of the ones I've been looking forward to for a while. And Gary McCoo and Neil McGaw are joining me tonight, and we're really grateful for your time, lads, and uh, representing Rich Hill Football Club. We're going to talk a wee bit about that. But why don't we just start with a quick introduction? Let people know who you are and a wee bit about what you do. And I'll start with you, Neil, if that's okay. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Good to be here, Neil. Thanks for having us. Neil McGaw, originally from Armagh, born and raised in Armagh. I moved out to Rich Hill 22 years ago. So I suppose I'm classed as a blow-in, still a blow-in. Always had an interest in football. And then whenever I came to Rich Hill 22 years ago, I decided to join the local village side because I didn't know anybody. And at that stage, I moved from a team at top of the league to a team at the bottom of the league. But I enjoyed my time. We had a bit of success along the way. We had some good times. But most importantly, I got involved in village life. And then, unfortunately, the age came upon me. Could play no longer. So I stepped into the committee. And from that then on to chairman. And so currently the chairman of Rich Hill Amalgamated Football Club, following the amalgamation between Rich Hill Football Club and Broomhill Football Club back in 2016. We can talk a little bit about that later on. But then outside of football life, obviously family, wife, 2 children, and I'm employed as a post-primary school principal in Newtown Hamilton High School in South Armagh.
Super. Thanks, Neil. Gary, just in case there's somebody that happens to be on this call that doesn't know you, introduce yourself.
Gary McCoo, born and raised Rich Hill all my life. Played for Broomhill, then joined Rich Hill, then now Rich Hill Amalgamated, sorry Neil. So basically my role is Neil does all the paperwork, does all the registrations. I'm the gopher, I'm kit man, you name it, I do it. Anything manual, I do it. Engaged, Jane, 2 children, then the rest of the kids here too. So
Brilliant. I think that applies to you, Gary, for not just in the football club. Anything needs done, I'll do it. I think that's your title for around Rich Hill as well.
I'm getting an awful harassment off the young fellas about the village because when I tackle them now, they go, imagine there was a Rich Hill page when you were running about.
Very good.
What you said that like?
That's a good one, isn't it?
Well, what I said to them is, I says, listen, lads, we never harassed anyone or wrecked anything. I says, we went down to the park, the police come down, Alan Patton, who run the park, left a bin bag down, and he says, if you don't wreck anything, put it in the bin, and he says, there'll be no problems. Police come down, exactly the same. So I says, listen, lads, we don't want to give you a hard time, but you need to stop setting fire to the park, wrecking people's property, and so on,
That is a timely word for us at the minute, isn't it? So what are you still playing, Gary?
No, well, I try to put a bit of duct tape around the knee now and again, but
you had a real bad injury, didn't you? That's right.
My knees completely gone. Like I shouldn't even actually went on a sub that day. So then, it hasn't been right for the last 7 or 8 years. So I'd have been a wise man 7 or 8 years ago to hang the boots up, because I can't even kick about with the children in the backyard now. My knee's just wrecked. So hopefully when everything gets back to normal, I'll get an operation.
You and me, we could spend half this podcast talking about injuries and how good we used to be, and now we've time's caught up with us, hasn't it? What about
I don't think I wasn't that good, like, got a free and the odd howler, like.
a bit a lot of pressure being a goalkeeper, though, isn't there?
McGaw would know all about that. He's all the league titles, he's all the medals in the house.
Where did you play, Neil?
Same position, goalkeeper.
Were you?
Goalkeeper as well. Yeah. So yeah, some good days, some bad days. 3 and 0, 1 in here and there, but that's the game. But you still keep coming back for more. It's hard to get away from it.
Yeah. Guy, tell us a wee bit about work life. How's work? How's work been? What do you work at? And a wee bit about how COVID maybe has even impacted.
Well, I work for David Jamison Roofing. Well, we're called roofing, like, but we do building works, just basically anything asbestos, the whole works. So basically, this time last year, we're absolutely flying. Then obviously, the lockdown kicked in. I would normally do all our government work, so I'll be everywhere. Like, you know, you'd be 1 minute you'll be in a job centre, and the next you'll be standing on the roof of the Royal Court of Justice and everything else. So from being in lockdown, I was still getting 1 or 2 call outs. So was, but you see, before that, we could have been getting 40 to 50, call outs a day. And from that, there's only coming in at the minute. You'll be about lucky if you have 15 a day.
Really?
So and you see, just going about, obviously I have to go about because of my job. There's still roofs leaking, door handles breaking, just going about at the minute around Belfast and everywhere you go, like, it's just ghost towns. And when you're walking in the government buildings and you're just looking around all the offices and nobody in them, thousands of desks empty. So it is, but I was told there that they're thinking of basically letting people start to work from home as from now on as life, and a whole lot of these buildings will be getting handed back.
Wow. There's going to be a lot of changes in there.
Yeah. It's a good job. There's plenty of roof leaks.
We've given you plenty of those.
Oh no, don't even talk to me.
Neil, obviously you've told us a wee bit about what you do, and education has been affected in a massive way, hasn't it? And you just tell us a wee bit about what that's been like from your perspective. I think that'd be really helpful for us to hear.
Yeah. Well, COVID has changed everything in terms of education, and today is obviously the anniversary of the first lockdown, and people on the news today have been reflecting on that, and I too have been reflecting today, and I'm thinking back to not to the 23rd of March 2020, but the 9th of March 2020. And on that particular morning, my phone rang at 9:05 in school, and was called from the PHA to inform me that we were the first school in Northern Ireland to have a confirmed COVID-19 case. And my life and my just changed dramatically from that particular moment. There was a massive media attention on the school, and I think in the space of 24 hours, I had over 240 calls, stroke messages, and dealing with the media, and then trying to work with the community fear as well, just total fear in the community. And but fortunately, my employer, the Education Authority, the Department of Education, the PHA, they were tremendous support, and they helped us navigate through that difficult period. And then we went from that straight into this new term, remote learning, which was new to everybody, the pupils, parents and staff, and it was sink or swim, no training whatsoever, straight into that online learning. And that problem's made worse in South Armagh because the broadband is not great, and there's a major problem with broadband in the South Armagh area. So we were trying to deliver remote learning, but yet children could not access materials and resources and so on. But we did our best with instructions, work packs, audio books, pre-recorded videos, lessons. And then you went straight in then to calculated grades, centre assessed grades for GCSEs. So we got through that. And obviously the whole summer was dominated by Are we coming back on a full return, a partial return, and preparing for that? And then right at the very last minute, we were told it was a full return to school. So many things put in place: sorting out bubbles, risk assessments, one-way systems, sanitising stations, cleaning the tables, social distancing, face masks, transport, uniform, no events, no extracurricular activities, no PE, sport in school. So it was a very, very difficult time for children to come back to school. But we were fortunate in that we had no closures during term one, and we managed to work our way through to Christmas. And then over Christmas, the news breaks about escalating numbers with COVID and the possibility of further school closures.
Mhm.
And then just right at the end of December, I think it was the 31st of December, we got the word, official confirmation that schools again would go into a period of remote learning. So we've been working our way through that, and I think a greater expectation this time from parents and community to up the game just across the whole country. So a lot more live lessons and the pressures of that there, and the problems associated with that, particularly in a community where the broadband's just not as strong. And bringing right up to date, we're back now to calculating centre determined grades. And then the latest thing is lateral flow testing, which we're trying to implement in school. So it's been a very, very busy year, challenging year, but I'm fortunate to have a good team around me in school, and with good pupils and good parents and good staff. And we've had to adapt, and there's been a willingness to be flexible, and that's been important.
That willingness to be, I was just going to say that how flexible you've had to be over the last
Yeah,
year.
well, just a very simple example. We were unable to hold our annual prize giving, and that's a big night in our school, because the whole community comes together and we celebrate the success of our pupils. We've been unable to do that this year because of obviously numbers. So we've had to think. We've tried several times, but it kept having to be postponed. Our latest plan is at some stage after Easter, we're hoping to have a prize distribution drive-through, where you drive through the school grounds and you pick up your certificates and your trophies and get your picture in the car and drive on with social distancing and adhering to all regulations. So we've had to be adaptable, we've had to be flexible, and just have to work our way through these problems.
Yeah, I know. Like my experience for schooling has been my kids go to Hardy, which is our local primary school here in Rich Hill, and I honestly have been amazed at the work that the teachers have put in. I've been amazed at how they've adapted, and at a time my second oldest boy, he was supposed to do the AQE, and I suppose engaging with Elaine Anderson at the Hardy, just having to react to the information that they were getting.
Yeah, it's been difficult, and of course, you know, the picture's changing all the time. So very often you're getting information at the last minute, and you have to react very quickly. But it is what it is. You just have to make the best of it, and hopefully make the right decisions moving forward.
Well done, honestly, for play. Just when you were talking there as well, Neil, about no sport, Gary, I'll come to you, and how much have you missed, like just the football club being able to run the training and all of that? How much have you missed that? How much of the players that you are looking after, how much are they missing that?
All the players and management are devastated, like, because we were on a very good run, so we were. We've got a very good squad put together there, and I think we only lost 2 games, and obviously the season's been, called off. So everyone was buzzing. Seconds, I think they only got 1 game, and Lee laid a very good squad there as well. And Collie Wilson, Will Thirds, and I think they got about 6 games, and they have a real good squad too. So it wasn't nice, like, but at the end of the day, what you do, if it's going to save lives, you have to do it.
Yeah.
As for myself, I've actually pretty enjoyed it because I take off of migraines, and you see the last year when we talk about 2 migraines.
Oh, really?
So the pressure of that too, like, because you're going from being absolutely flat out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where the
Like
migraines came from?
mine or pardon?
Is that where the migraines came from? Being tired?
It must be. Like my Friday night was get the fixtures up. Saturday morning was put the fixtures up again, get down to the park, get the kits out, sort out the kits for the seconds and thirds. Then it was up to the football club with Neil, sorting out bonus balls and all to bring extra money into the club. Then you're coming home and it was bang on the phone, putting up all the results. So the time you look, the night's over, and Jane sitting looking at me going, "You on your phone all day," like you weren't getting time with the family, that way.
Yeah.
But then again, the children love it. Like the girls come down with me there and set up, and they love it. And Jane loves getting down the Saturday and up to the club after and setting out the food and all,
Yeah.
But
But let's
it
just
will kick.
let's keep talking about that for a wee minute, because as I was saying to you just before the call, um, the amount of I suppose that's the first thing to start with. The amount of kids that I now see down on like match days down in the park, and like to me seems like so much more than I've ever seen before. Just
But
feels just feels a bit more like a family type setup.
oh, it is like, well, there's myself. Like no lie. Like I would have thought nothing on a Friday night, went out and getting drunk. Saturday, didn't care if I played or not. And Sunday, getting drunk. Then I met Mr. McGaw one day when I was up the street, and he asked me, "Would me and him talk?" And he says, "Would you like to come to the football club?" So I've been playing for Broomhill. So I was Broomhill, and then Armagh Blues. Then me and Neil talked one night, and like back in the day, Broomhill and Rich Hill hated each other. Like we used to run discos, and if any Rich Hill players would have come, there would have been a full scale riot, like, because we wouldn't have liked them being there, So from going from being Broomhill loyal to going to Rich Hill,
Amazing.
like Roger was the manager, and with Paul Rogers and the Ford Bros, like it was absolutely brilliant. And then I went to Rich Hill with Neil, and I think I sort of brought that there to Rich Hill.
Mhm.
So I did. So then I started to wise up, and I met Jane, then the children, and I, like, looking back, I wish I would have done it years ago. Like, from running around just not caring to having a family now.
Yeah. Very good.
It's unbelievable. And then unfortunately Broomhill, we're going to fold. And then they come to us, about looking to amalgamate, and we were open arms, like, so it was nice for me because I was Broomhill, till today, and now I have the both clubs in my heart, and it's brilliant, like.
That's really good. I really good to hear you say that, Gary, just about how there was that like intense rivalry, but now like amalgamated into one. Like Neil, can you talk a wee bit more about
Yeah,
the amalgamation?
yeah, there's no doubt there was an intense rivalry on the pitch, but there were good friendships off the pitch and mutual respect. But quite simply, the village wasn't big enough for two clubs. We were competing for players, we were competing for sponsorship, we were competing for facilities, and it was challenging, and it did result in an odd disagreement here and there. But Broomhill had some successful days, and then Rich Hill would have had some successful days, but neither club could have sustained success in a small village with two clubs. So the decision was made to come together and join as one, and Rich Hill Amalgamated Football Club was formed in June 2016. And from then, we feel that the club has progressed. We have 3 teams. We have approximately 70 to 80 members. We don't have the resources that other clubs have, but we have developed ourselves as a comfortable intermediate A side, and that is our aim. And hopefully, we can continue to progress. We've consolidated ourselves on small steps. We had a couple of real good years at the start with the amalgamation. We won a league, we won a cup, we got to another cup final. And we're hopeful those days can return again. But football comes in cycles, and there are good days and bad days. But certainly, I believe we're punching above our weight at the minute, and the challenge is to maintain that there. And community support is important. And I'm a great believer in community. I think people, we're very fortunate to live in a lovely little village of Rich Hill, but I think it's important to give back to the village and to support the community, to support the local businesses. I want a plumber. My plumber's from Rich Hill. My gardener's from Rich Hill. I even go to the hairdresser in Rich Hill. So I think it's important that we support the local community and the clubs and the businesses and work together. And I think that is coming through. And you're right, on a Saturday, it's great while the match is playing that there's normally an all little match on at the side of all the young ones who've come down with parents and so on. And it's great to see that there.
Yeah, and it is. I'm really glad to hear you say that, Neil, because I think that one of the things that does impress me whenever you're down watching, like the businesses, you're talking about supporting them, but it's really good to see all the local businesses signs right around the pitch. Just like it's
Yeah, and the businesses have stood by us. It's a difficult time out there, and it's nearly embarrassing for us at the minute to go to a business and say, can you sponsor us? We're in the middle of COVID. Your business has suffered, but they've continued to support us, and we will continue to support them, by giving them our business. So it's good to see that.
great. And there has been stuff that is the club's been doing, Gary, over COVID, isn't that right?
Yep.
There's been some things that you've still managed to do to help people within the community. Can you tell us a wee bit about that?
Yeah, well, I was actually sitting at work one day and I was just looking. They were talking on the radio about schools. The children weren't getting to see Santa and all, and, at Christmas. So I actually don't know who enjoyed it more, you or the children. Huh?
I was United. I was in the back of Gregory Brown's trike. I loved it.
So basically, I was sitting and I was like, this would be a great idea. I says, we'll get Santa up to the school in some way and get a load of selection boxes. But as me being me, there's no thinking behind nothing. It's just straight in. So I phoned the school and says, Rich Hill Football Club would like to do selection boxes and maybe get sent. Oh, that's brilliant and all. And I says, 100%, how many children go to the school? And next thing it was like 475 or something. I was like, what? So next thing I had to phone yourself and the likes of Brian Hines, Premier Properties, David Jamison, Nick at the Methodists, Super Value, the VEP, everybody chipped in. Neville and Philip at Super Value were brilliant. So they had not done the selection boxes for near nothing, like. So then I was actually walking out of Super Value and Gregory Brown come up to me and he says, who's doing Santa? And I says, well, usually Ronnie Muirhead would do Santa for us because we had to do something up in the football club, for all the children. And Ryan Hill will come up and do DJ and have a wee, afternoon for them. So I says, I need to get on to Ronnie first. So I phoned Ronnie and he didn't answer his phone. So Gregory phoned me the night before and he says, so is Ronnie doing Santa? And he says, no, you are. So Neil got the suit, went up to Gregory, got him suited and booted. And he had the trike all done up. You couldn't ask for better. It was absolutely unbelievable the way he had the trike done up. And you know yourself, Dossie, what it was like.
Class.
Yeah. Seeing all the children's faces and all, and unreal.
Yeah.
Well, I think you got a bit of abuse off the P6, P7s, did you?
They weren't banning. They were pretty cool. They weren't giving anything away.
So also, Gary, it's important. Sorry, just also to say that we also provided some hampers for those who worked in the chemist and the health centre and so on, just in recognition of the tremendous sacrifice that they were making. Yeah, during that first lockdown, when we were all at home, they were the ones really out on the front line. And just a little small thank you on behalf of the club from the community to say, well done, you're doing a good job. Yeah. And that was another initiative we were involved in, Gary.
Yeah, Ryan Harper phoned me one day and it was a great idea. So it was. So he took the lead. It was him actually done it all. So it was brilliant to see.
Yeah, I think that's what I've appreciated about you guys are here representing the football club is taking the initiative because a lot of people can have good ideas and but it takes someone like you, Gary. Don't think if you start thinking about it too much, you'll always give yourself a reason not to do it. And so
Yeah.
I think it's important that you like when you come up with those initiatives that you just go and do it. And then the
Oh,
wonderful thing is that you then have you have built the relationship and the trust among other people within the community that you can then go to them and say, right, let's say, will you get behind me in this? And it's been great to watch for the Christmas thing, for example, people get behind that. So
yeah, then Paul Gwynn, he done the video and it was top class. The video made it when you seen it, like it was
Right.
absolutely unreal. So it was.
yeah, good stuff.
And the children's football too. You remember we run the Friday nights children's football, so we're hoping to do that last summer. So hopefully that'll kick in this summer again. You know, we'll run 6 weeks of it.
Yeah.
You know what's good too, because you know yourself, the ambassadors and all for that period, they don't have anything. They usually close down so it's good to get all the children from all different clubs in. You know, just to try and give something back to the community. So it is.
Very good. Well, I enjoyed the Christmas thing that much that from the start of this lockdown, I committed myself to growing this. I'm bulking out here as well. I'm going to dye this white by Christmas time because I fancy a few of those Santa gigs by the time Christmas comes back around again.
Well, here going by Nick. He's the new Santa Claus for the village, like.
He did a good job. Be hard to compete with Reverend McKnight, wouldn't it?
Well, you can keep Nick and we'll keep our Gregory now.
A Santa face off to Christmas time.
We'll put the frees in their ring down the park and see how it goes.
We'll have to wear masks and all that sort of stuff. Though. Need to do that. We sort of been holding off. I've held off long enough now. Gary, congratulations.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Really, really good, and it's been great to watch just on social media and Twitter the school and the football club acknowledging how proud they are of you, the school doing the same, and many others. So can you just tell us, in case again somebody's missed the news, tell us a wee bit about this Armagh Sports Person of the Year award. How it came about?
Well, I was at Lisburn Post Office one day and David Jamison, the boss, arrived. So he did. So we're up looking at the roof, and next thing, Mr. McGaw phoned David, and I was like, "What's that all about? Oh, you need to come down in the Jeep. We need to have a talk." So I thought it was something completely different. I thought McGaw was going to hit him for 10 grand or something to keep the football club going. So next thing, they got me into the Jeep, put it in the loudspeaker, and David said he had nominated me as one of the, sports person of the year, as Neil also did. So I was like, right. And there was so many people nominated for it, and it's been cut down to the last two. And I was like, right. And they go, well, it's going live on Friday, and you and a lady from Armagh, I think she was from Armagh Gaelic or something. So it was too hard to choose, so they put us two into the hat. So that went from there. I actually seen it, and I was going to nominate Neil. So I did, but obviously they had got in before me, but I forgot about it. So it was brilliant just to see that people actually acknowledge what I was doing, because I just do everything out of my heart without even thinking. I could do something and somebody would go, "Did you realise what you done there?" And I would be like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, that thing you done for that. And I'm like, "And what?" You wouldn't even, think you're doing good, and you are. Mm. So it went on and on. Then there's a lot of stupid posters made and floating the crew. And you see the Friday night when it went live, my phone never quit. Ping, 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 ping. So we're mad looking to know how we got on. So I got the phone call last Friday from Ricky from the Armagh. So he did, and he told me I'd won it, like, and you know, felt I was just driving down the road in the van, I was going to cry. So it was, you know, so.
Were you on your own?
Pardon?
Were you on your own when you got the news?
No, Daniel Dugan down Sea Valley, he was with me.
Okay.
So he was sitting just looking at me, he wasn't afraid to say anything. So he was emotional, like, you know, it's brilliant, sure. You know, winning something like that, you know, somebody actually appreciates what you're doing, like.
Yeah. Like, I honestly, I'm not ashamed to say it, like, I found myself getting emotional just, like, watching the amount of people that were just rallying behind you within the chill.
He's extremely well known, so he is, Neil. Eddie McNally, who lives in Dean's Walk down Stevie Valley, he once said to me, if Gary McCoo and the Queen were standing in the square in the village, people would drive past and say, who's that standing with Gary McCoo? So he's well known, and the people did come out and vote. He's well known throughout the village, throughout the whole footballing community here in Northern Ireland, and he was getting votes from all over the country. But it was fully deserved because everybody recognises the contribution that he makes, first and foremost to our football club, but also to the community, and he'll always help somebody out. So fully deserved, and he got to get himself dressed up and go up to the Palace last Friday and collect his award. I know it was a proud day for him and Jane, and the children, and his mum and dad as well. So fully deserved, and we're led to believe he got a lot of votes.
Yeah, well,
wasn't it?
Going by Facebook, I actually got banned from Facebook the last 2 days, so I have.
Why?
There's been not many comments, people, you know, writing well done. And if someone writes to me, I'm writing back to them. I'm not one of these persons who'll just go and like the comment, like, you know, if you have voted for me or done something for me and took time to acknowledge me, I'm writing back to you, like. So I started to write back to everyone yesterday. Next thing I come up, sorry, you have been permitted from writing any more comments. So I was like, what's the solid? Then I hit disagree. So then you had to give it like 4 hours and start again. But it's probably a good job it did because I was on the phone all day. So I think I got the last of them done there about 2 hours ago.
Crazy.
And if I've missed anyone, I'm sorry, but I'll keep looking.
What about, tell us a wee bit about go on ahead, Neil.
Just fully deserved.
Absolutely.
But just to say, Gary is one of, we have a very good committee who are committed to their role. So Gary's one of a number, but I think everybody in our committee also recognises the work that Gary does. And on this occasion, Gary fully deserves the award.
Brilliant. And it was a good day, Gary, collecting the award.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was obviously
stables.
I went down to the stables. I think they done on slots, so they did, you know, every half an hour slots. So I don't think they told the cameraman that because he was raging. He said he'd been there for like 3 hours, and he says no one informed him they were doing it in half an hour slots. So no, I got dressed up. Jane and the kids were all went in. You know, it was actually nice to get out, you know, as a family and actually walk about and see people and talk to people, you know, that sort of way.
Very good.
So it was then obviously got the photos took and actually come home and went back to work because I had a boy's roof open, so I needed to go and see that in. And it's neat.
They were impressive pair of pinstripe trousers, boy. They were smart. They were smart looking trousers.
Yeah. Jane, it was one of the pour down Richard Red's dinner, so it was in the golf club. Jane got me the trousers and the shirt. Then I arrived down with a tie on, and she was like, I don't really think that goes with that, you know. And at this stage I'd lost my Rich Hill mask, so I had to wear something to do with a football club. Yeah. So she says, that's all right, just you wear it. If you feel you're happy wearing it, you wear it. So Portadown Football Club shared the picture of me with a tie, the red and white tie, and it went on the Irish League page last night. Right. The one and only, and everyone started to write on, is he a Glenavon fan?
Oh, really?
Because of the blue and white tie.
Yeah.
You know, but as Neil says, we've got our committee there. A whole lot of people, even outside the committee, see if I want something done and I make a phone call, everyone's more than happy, you know. So it's everyone's won the award. It's just not me. It's everyone in the village, Jane and the kids, because without them, I couldn't do what I do. My mum and dad, and basically just everybody, you know.
Very good. Brilliant, Gary. That's really good.
And I've actually got a lot of the young fellas in the village who were lacking, you know, turned around now, so they're starting to see where I'm coming from.
Role model.
You know, so
Role model.
Role model. Role model.
Brilliant, Gary. Really well done. Just
Cheers.
another couple of questions, lads, if you don't mind. I suppose I've been asking this of everybody, just maybe a wee bit of highs and lows, like personally, or even within community life over the last year. As Neil's already mentioned, this is the 1 year anniversary from the first lockdown, and so I suppose over the last year, come to you first, Neil. Maybe if you could let us in and
I think from a football point of view, the lows, the stopping and the starting, the uncertainty, you know, players not being able to train, players having to change at the side of a pitch, at bucketing down with rain. You know, in terms of the highs, the football, getting back to play, being allowed to play a football, getting team spirit going again. We started off the season by defeating the league champions, Banbridge Rangers, 2-0 away from home. And that really just kick-started us, and we took it on from there, having a great start to the season. So, you know, from a football point of view there, the highs and lows. And then just thinking about my work, obviously school closures are a big low there, and the impact that has had on pupils' learning. And we're all parents ourselves, and we all know how challenging remote learning has been. It's not easy. But the high, I suppose, getting children back to school over the last few weeks, and seeing children back in their natural environment, not just from a learning point of view, but from a social point of view. And we need to get these children back to sport. But obviously at the minute, the government don't feel we're at that stage yet. But getting people out and interactions again, I think we've come a long way in the last year, but we still cannot drop our guard. We still have to be cautious. We have to be mindful that the virus is still there, and that there's going to be more difficult days ahead. But I think we're now better equipped to deal with it. And yep, that's it.
Thanks, Neil. Gary, what about you?
Well, as Neil says, there, get back to football. First match of the season, beating Banbridge away was amazing. So it was. Got all the boys buzzing, and you know, went on a bit of a run after that, and you know, what you do, like, you got called off, and that was it. As Neil says, it stopped and started, and you know, you just got fed up with them. So the break has actually been good. Like, it makes you sit back and see what you were missing, you know, in family life, because you're always just focused all the time. What people phoning you, you're running around, bang, bang, bang. Yeah. And you know, it made you see, like, there's the girls in school. You know, Jane and I was coming home at night, James still sitting, homework's coming flat out, and I'd been at work all day, and she had been sitting for hours upon hours upon hours pulling her hair out. Like, you know, as she says, you know, I was going to work, doing my day's work, then coming home, and she was still at least I was getting out. I know I was going to work, but I was still getting a break. You know, she was stuck in the house, you know, all day with the children doing their homeworks. You know, then those people around the village, you know, like, the village has lost plenty of people there in the last, you know, 12 months that they have, you know, very good people. James Portdown Football Club have lost a lot of good people there too, you know. So one of the amazing things, my uncle there, he wasn't well, and he was admitted to hospital. So he got home. Then 2 days later, Monty, she got admitted, and she wasn't too good. So I told, this is coming from, you remember it was raining the day of the selection boxes, and I told you I prayed for the rain to stop. Right. And time we got to the school, the rain had just stopped. So myself and Jane told the wee girl to pray for Matt Damley. So I was walking up the stairs of the house, and I looked in there, and Anna was on her knees on the stairs, and I was like, what are you doing? She says, I'm praying for Aunt Emily. Right? So a couple of days later, Kyle was phoning them, Aunt Emily's not good and all, you know. Then next thing, about 2 days later, she might be getting home. You know, so it just shows you what prayer does.
Amazing.
You know, obviously you can look back and we've lost people, but when your time has to come, it has to come. You know, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, so that's the lows and highs.
Yeah.
So it is.
A great story. I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. That's good. I'm really glad you highlight, like you pointed out, paid tribute to those that we have lost in our community over the last year. Thanks for doing that. And then just stick with you, Gary. I suppose your hopes. What's your hopes for the football club, but also for our community, for yourself? Like, what are your hopes? What are you clinging on to? I suppose while we're still, as Neil said, still not out the other end of this yet. But what are you hoping for?
Well, me and Jim were supposed to get married in July here, like, but it won't be happening now. We'll have to put it back the next July. We're going to have a big day up at the castle. We'll organise the big tent and all, and, you know, dinner and a wee band playing and that. You know, we wanted to keep it in Rich Hill, you know, that sort of way.
Good man.
So that we'll have to put it back the next year. So well, but yeah, get back to football, get everyone in, hopefully in the summer they might let us do the kids football again. So I've been getting a lot of phone calls the last lot of weeks, anti-social behaviour around down the park and that. So I have, and just general around the village. So they like yourselves down at the hub, you know, like the hub's closed too. If you can get them back in, like there's nothing for them to do.
Yeah.
You know, they're running around the village. What you do, like, you know, so things like that there, get the community back together, you know.
Brilliant.
Basically.
That's great. Neil, what about you?
Well, I think, first of all, on a personal point of view, I think the last year has made everybody realise, you know, get our priorities right and focusing on our families, on our health, and I think, you know, it's a time for us all to reflect what is really important in life. In terms of the football club, obviously we want to progress, we have aspirations, but it has to be realistic and sustainable progression. We're not going to set our bar too high and we can't achieve it. I've seen clubs do that before and then the whole thing falls down around them. But we want to further develop our community links. We wanted to further develop our facilities down at the recreation centre, and obviously get more people from about the village involved in the club. And that word community is important to our club. It's important to me. And I would just appeal to people, get involved in your community. As I said earlier, we're all very fortunate to live in this lovely little village, but give something back. I'm not just talking about the football club. Yes, we would love to get you involved in the football club, but there's the Scouts, there's the BB, there's the churches, the Improvements Committee, the school PTA. Give something back, get involved in the community, in the community. That's important, and support our local businesses and support our local tradesmen and people within the village. And I think that focus on community is very important, because by everybody working together, we can make Rich Hill an even better place. We're very fortunate, it's a great place, but we can make it even better facilities for the young people, so that we're not dealing with the issues there that Gary has spoke about there this evening, antisocial behaviour and so on.
Honestly, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for that. I think it's so important, and I really appreciate how both you guys. It's how you've just put a lot of emphasis on community and family, and so it's clear that just oozes out of you both. And so I think you're well within your rights to challenge us all around giving something back and to get involved. I would echo that wholeheartedly. So thanks for that. Just whenever Gary, you were talking about the castle, I can't not bring up castle gates. This is caused a bit of tension between another one of our colleagues here. Andrew's a bit upset. He's a Hillsborough man, and I'm only mentioning this because I know that you I think you had commented on Peter Cardwell's episode
Yeah.
where
Oh,
you were
I would do
outside the gates.
work in Hillsborough Castle, so I would. So I asked the security guard one day, could I reverse the lorry right up to them? And he was like, "Oh, do whatever you want." So I reversed the lorry back up a little bit into the security hut, and he says, "By the way, I'm taking them. They belong to Rich Hill. They're ours." And he was like, "You're what?" And I says, "They're ours. I'm going to take them here." You know.
Brilliant.
Although we need them back. Like I was actually working at a man's house in Hillsborough there last week, and I was talking to them about them, like, and we got a bit thick over it, like.
Oh, did you?
Oh, aye. So he wasn't too amused now. So it was, but I told him to be coming back someday. If me and Peter have to go down with an angle grinder on a flatbed lorry, we'll be getting them back.
Now that I know you've got what do you call it? Now you know you've got access to the gates. You're the man to get us in.
Unreal. I actually can't believe I've never got them back. Like at the end of the day, they're ours.
Absolutely.
I don't care what anybody says. They come and talk to them from Rich Hill. Yes, they sat about for a while. They never used them. They melt down for the war, for the bullets and all. And they've just the other Rich Hill's gates. They weren't made for Hillsborough Castle. They were made for Rich Hill Castle.
Come on.
I think Neil's planning on chaining himself to them.
The more episodes we do with Rich Hill people, the more like excited I get about like creating some sort of group to run down someday.
Well, make sure it's raining when you change yourself to them. I have to give it to the like Earl and the wee woman who's opened the DIY shop in Rich Hill. Like every time you drive past Earl's, the amount of people outside it, the wee DIY shop isn't the it's obviously brilliant, the stuff in it. Cafe Castle there, everything like.
Yeah.
Fair play to the people.
Yeah, very good. Great. Guys, I've really enjoyed this. I really appreciate your time and really inspired by what you're doing. I think you are doing a great job with the football club, and credit to you both. I always like to finish our times with just a simple like, what are you watching, what are you listening to, or what are you reading? Either one that you would recommend to us while we're still in it, while we're still sort of in lockdown. What are you watching that you could?
Well, I wouldn't really be a person for watching anything really, even when the football's on. I'd hardly watch it.
Really?
So I wouldn't. But we're watching. What was that there? I was watching Call of Duty. Is it?
Line of Duty.
Line of Duty. I was watching that. I actually turned it on Saturday night and watched the 5 episodes.
Oh, did you?
And I don't think I got to bed at like 2:30 in the morning. Then I watched that other thing with James Nesbitt in it.
Good man.
It was very good as well. But
Bloodlands.
Oh yes.
My mate Gary Crozier's got me a big Hugo fan, so at 1:30 every day, Hugo has to go on the radio, and you should see the looks of some guys in my work when I put it on. From half 1 to 3 o'clock, they don't hardly talk to me, so they don't.
I'm the opposite. Whenever I hear that deedly dee, I can't get the radio off quick enough.
But it's brilliant.
Well, as you mentioned, Gary Crozier, Gary's commented tonight how much he misses the football matches, and he hopes it'll be back really soon.
Well,
it's been really good, Gary out and about again, hasn't
it? His football days are over, so they are. He got a stint in there, so he did. So, when you get a stint in, he's not allowed to pick up the balls, fill the water bottles, nothing like strenuous like that anymore from us. So he's not.
You're gonna go easy on him now.
Oh, he's brilliant. You see down there when I'm training and I'm under pressure, and the boys are going, we need more water. He'll go up and get them filled, bring them down for me. Brilliant. I bring it, like if we're playing away or anything, I would bring him over with me, and he'd be out lifting the combs and lifting the balls. Loves it.
Very good.
But the one thing I'll have to give him, you know, the match will be over and somebody will turn around to Gary and go, well, mate, what was the score? I don't know. He's missing that list, so he is. Happy not like. So I don't know. He's brilliant to see him back out. He's buzzing. He had a very hard time there, so I'm happy to see him back floating about. So if he sees him, make sure somebody steals his umbrella.
Neil, what about you? What are you watching or reading?
Well, over the past year, I've had a lot of educational documents to read about COVID. So the last thing I want to do when I get home is to read a book. But I'm watching quite a bit of television during lockdown. My wife and my daughter, myself, are great fans of detective type programs. So, you know, Silent Witness, Death in Paradise, Vera, Frost, Midsummer's Murders. But more recently, during lockdown, we've been watching the Majorcan Files, set in Majorca. It's quite good, beautiful scenery. And also Shakespeare and Hathaway, and my daughter has got me onto as well. So we record these in the afternoon when we're at work, and then we'd sit up at night and watch them. So anything detective programs, and great interest in that. So yeah, it's been good to spend a bit of extra time with the family, because life is busy. Life is good, but life is busy between work and football and family. But the break in football has just allowed a bit more family time, and to sit down and watch a good program, detective program together has been fun. So yeah, see myself maybe a detective in another life, maybe.
You actually look like one. Well, you're actually pretty good. You see when somebody lost a kit, you know, socks or a short or something, like when Jim would wash the kit, sir, and I would give you the kit back, and you'd phone going, Gary, there's one sock missing. You know, then the next thing, Neil
start looking for evidence then.
Next thing, the whole club gets a message. We have one sock missing. You know, and it doesn't stop till he finds it. You know,
and then trailing through CCTV, taking fingerprints, that sort of thing. You know,
Neil, you're not a Columbo fan, are you?
Oh, indeed, yes. Anybody, any detective program at all.
Lads, thanks again. Really enjoyed this. And good luck.
Thank you.
Rest of the not the rest of the season, I suppose. That's a
new season.
I'm just looking at you there, Dossie. You see, if you did chain yourself, Glenn Yates, a lot beard and all at the minute. Well, I'm telling you, I think you're there for years.
Well, you can tell by my belly that I've been still eating plenty. Right, lads, we'll catch up again soon, but really appreciate your time tonight, and
thank you.
We'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
Cheers, lads.
Ordinary People was hosted by Neil Dawson. It was produced, edited and engineered by Andrew Gribbin and Paul Woods. Head over to ordinarypodcast.com for show notes, links, previous episodes and all the ways you can contact the show. See you next time.